Hi, coucou mes amis, it's Alexis here. It's been a while. I am quite busy with grad school, so getting my master's has been more than I thought it would be. I knew it would be hard, but I didn't know it would be this hard. So I am, just dealing with that. I'm about, it's like a month and a half in. Feels like I've already been here a year. So I wanted to make this video for a while, and I don't think I'll be making too many more. I don't really know what else to add besides a few things that people requested, but I replied to them, so I don't think it's like immediate need of a video, but I really wanted to make a video on resources. So this is resources for practicing French and resources to use as a TAPIFer. And I think these would be some really valuable things, both before and after you go to France. Like before you go to France, yeah, and after you go. It's been a long day, I'm tired. So without further ado, resources. So before you go, when it comes to practicing French, some resources that I would recommend are, one, your local library. I know my library, I was living in Arlington, Virginia at the time, and they had free access to Pimsleur, which is kind of like a Rosetta Stone. They might have had a Rosetta Stone, but like a Pimsleur is like a type of language thing. So one, you might have conversation groups that are available at your library, or two, you can use sometimes online recording, listening, things like that for free and not actually have to, subscribe to it. So make sure you look at free resources before you have to shell out any money, because you will be super poor when you do TAPIF. Next, YouTube. YouTube is amazing. It's such a wonderful resource. Don't underutilize it. Whatever you need, look it up. I started following Damon and Joe. I think I started watching them actually a while before I even went, just because I had really missed French, and somehow I stumbled upon them. And I watched a lot of videos, and it was nice to hear French again, hear kind of tips and tricks, and then just watch general videos. And I think that might even led me to some other things. So really, and then even look up to, in French, maybe try to find some popular YouTube video, like YouTubers in French that are popular in France, and you can watch them talking about whatever they do. I know there's a lot of like French movie review critique people that are French or anything like that. And then songs, and start listening to get back to your Spotify, like Angèle, I can't think of anything. Stromae, obviously, is the one everybody knows. Just like look for French musicians and things like that to listen to and play it. Even I think playing it kind of when you're not exactly listening never hurts. It's good to get that subconscious in there. Podcasts as well. I can't think of any off the top of my head, so I apologize. But there are a lot of podcasts out there with people who are in French, speaking French. Or kind of people who are doing it more for an academic purpose, like trying to teach you French or things like that. So certainly look at podcasts. It's a really wonderful resource. I think every state has one, but in Alliance Française, I had gone to the one in DC to take some French classes. You could become a member, I think, at all of them. And depending where you are, they're going to have more resources than others. Like the one in DC, obviously had a great deal of resource because it's Washington, D.C. So they had a library, and they had plenty of classes, and they had conversation hours and activities to do all the time. However, the one in New Jersey, where I had been living right after I graduated college, really, I think they had like a meetup once a week, and that was it. And so I never went because it was also not super close to me. It was more of like, it was like an hour away or something like that, and it was just not really what you want to be driving, on a Wednesday night or something. So, but look at the Alliance Française and try to see like that. Another resource is meetups. You can look at meetup.com and see if there's any type of French group, French meetup in your area, and just get to meet people, go to conversation hour. I don't know if I said this too, but sometimes libraries will even have conversation hours, just to get some practice in there, warm up a little bit. Always a great thing. When it comes to TAPIF in specifically, prepping, again, YouTube. There are a few YouTube channels out there that you can look at if you're looking for TAPIF. There's plenty of blogs. Even the TAPIF website, I think, has referenced a couple blogs, so you can connect to them through there or just look. I would even recommend keyword searching for TAPIF blogs and including like primary, secondary, the region, the town, things like that, because you might be able to find someone specifically who has experienced where you were. And I don't know how much people are writing blogs anymore, and just keep an eye too when you are reading them, the dates and everything like that, because even for me this past year, things have already changed when it comes to OFI appointments. So make sure that you know what year you're looking at, and if you're trying to find information about like real specific things like an OFI appointment or something, that could have changed. So it's subject to, no longer being totally accurate, and that's not the fault of the creator. It just is the way things go. Like I was like the year before me, the visa process was different than when I dealt with it. And now already the OFI appointment is different, or the OFI registration or anything like that. Like we had to have a sheet at the visa that we handed in, and then we got it back. And now you don't have to deal with that. So already things have changed. Anything from the main website, I would just say look at the TAPIF website as well. Like they have a lot of resources there, so don't forget that is there. And getting in contact, I think a big thing, getting in contact with former assistants. I actually found a guy who helped me a lot with recommendations on what to do in Avignon, in particular on LinkedIn. So I actually went onto LinkedIn and looked up for TAPIF assistants and was able to find somebody who had been in my town the year before, which was kind of awesome because I didn't have to, it was somebody who had pertinent information, helpful information, and recent information and advice that they could give me. So that was really awesome. So don't not use like LinkedIn or Facebook. Like think out of the box and look for areas like that. Maybe Twitter, I have no idea. Instagram for sure. I know I started following people that hashtag TAPIF Instagram or hashtag assistant de langue, something like that. Like don't be afraid to follow kind of places if you are interested and you want to keep an eye on that. I don't want to call it I don't want to offend her if she ever watches, but a lot of the time, and from everybody I know, we want to help future assistants out. So I've tried to reply to everyone's comments. I hope I'm doing an okay job. But I saw on the Facebook group that the girl, I think my friend actually texted me. She's like, "Oh hey, the girl that was who was in the schools that you were at last year. I just saw a girl post that she's going to be at that." So I went on then, found her, and commented on the post, and I was like, "Hey, Becca," I don't know her name. I was like, "Hey, Becca, I'm Alexis. I was actually teaching at those schools last year. Please feel free to message me and ask me anything you'd like to know." Q2, she friended me immediately and then never asked me any questions. And I'm not going to go out of my way to help somebody if they're not going to even try, really. And then something happened later on too where I commented and she was like, "Oh, cool, where were you last year?" And I was like, "I was the girl at the same schools as you, and I literally talked to you about it." So, and it's just kind of don't be afraid to try to use the people who replaced you as a resource. I wish I would have killed to have access to the girl that was teaching at my schools before me and to get some information from her. The guy actually that I was able to talk to on LinkedIn told me he knew her and told me he would give her my information, but I don't know. I never heard from her. Nothing happened. Whatever. But at least I got somebody kind of close, and that was really wonderful and priceless. But don't be afraid. And it's hard. I know some people are going to have stories of I did reach out and I heard nothing. It happens, but it doesn't hurt to try. I'd certainly recommend it because most of the time we want to give you information and kind of tips and tricks. Since unfortunately this girl, I am concerned about her memory on, she did actually message me one day and was like, "Oh, who who's the secretary? Where do I give this to? The school seemed nice, and I was like, yeah, and I provided like a pretty detailed thing back, and I was like, there are no secretaries at the school. Again, if you watch these videos, but I'm like, there are no secretaries really. It's the directors that have it, and then I kind of gave her some inside scoop on the directors and who I thought was more useful, but I'm like, overall I had an amazing experience. I love my teachers. They were really, really welcoming and really nice. So use your resources, and don't be afraid to think outside of the box with like how to contact people on various types of social media. I wonder if there's a Reddit page. That I didn't think of. I'm not a big Reddit user, but I know a lot of people who are, so can't hurt if you're into that. All right, when you're in France, resources to use for French and for practicing French. The French library, so the library that in your town. A cool thing that my library offered, I think the library cards at my place were €10, not bad, and that lasts for 2 to 3 years. I don't exactly remember, but at least 2 years. And they actually did have online French resources, like classes and practicing online that I can use. So I actually do hope I can and would like to do that this year and use the resources for it to practice when I don't really have access, to speaking French every day anymore. So certainly don't be afraid to utilize the local library that you have there. And of course, even just getting out books, and I would say don't try to go crazy and get a book that you've never read. Even maybe get Harry Potter in French. Get a book that you've already read or know about in English, and maybe get that in French, because that's going to make it easier to read and a little less high stakes, high pressure. Conversation hours. We had an English bookstore in Avignon in town, and Camille. Oh my gosh, that's the name. Okay, it was a bookstore, and they had two days a week. They had English conversation hours, and I feel awful. I only went 3 times, I think, maybe. But it was a really cool resource that they had. So the only bad thing for me was that when I went, there was actually more French people who wanted to speak English than opportunities to speak French. But on a cultural, exchange, acceptance type sphere, it was really interesting for that. And it was nice to meet people, and it was nice to have something to do and ask fellow assistants, be like, hey, do you want to go to the bookstore and go to a conversation hour today? That was nice. So see if you have any type of places around like that offer help. And really, biggest French resources are the people around you. So your coworkers, your flatmates, your anyone you're tutoring for, things like that, landlords. I even know some people who offered, I think, tutoring on Le Bon Coin, or even kind of advertised on Tinder or the dating apps that they just wanted to practice their French with people. Or try to meet people kind of that way. So you could use Tinder, I guess, to build your French as well if you'd like. So that's kind of a fun thing. But yeah, I honestly am really grateful that my teachers essentially didn't speak English. And I am grateful for that, because while it was intimidating and a bit scarier, I had at least 2 days a week where I was just 100% surrounded by French speakers and just the language. And I don't think I would have seen as much of a growth in my French, or regrowth a little bit too in my French, if I hadn't worked at 2 locations where it was so just heavily French. And that was a really nice thing about the primary school and the people I worked with and everything like that. And then to my landlord, the husband spoke really great English, but the wife didn't speak basically any English. So with her, I always had to speak French. And then I saw them a lot because I helped tutor and things like that. So it was interesting to kind of the opportunities to speak more French. And she would introduce me all the time to their friends, and I'd go to events and stuff like that with them and speak a lot of French. But although actually I had a lot of friends too who spoke really amazing English, so it was funny. I just kept meeting people who largely spoke French. For TAPIF and getting information and using resources while you were in France. Again, your fellow and current assistants, really just ask for help. I know even last year, I don't know if I mentioned this before, someone created a Facebook page that was Facebook, like TAPIF Soutien, and it was a place for people to complain and lament, I suppose. And it was actually really nice because I had a really hard time the first like 2 weeks adjusting. I just felt like I was like, oh my god, what did I do? Like, this was so stupid. I can't believe I'm here. And someone wrote, like, does anyone else feel like isolated and unsure and scared? And it was so nice just to hear somebody else say that. Like, that made such a world of, you know, like, I don't know, I can't think. It was very profound for me. It helped a lot just knowing something, like I wasn't alone. Of course it did. So, and also if you have any questions too, specifically with like primary school TAPIF or secondary school TAPIF, there are a lot of subgroups and things like that. So I would recommend like trying to join past groups and searching through there to see if anybody mentioned it. But like, as I referenced in one of my videos, we did have a primary teacher Facebook group that I joined. So it wasn't like incredibly active, but it was still a nice place where people did share resources that they used. And I know especially a few assistants who had stayed but maybe weren't, I forget her name, Admon, but she's Admon, and I know her like in my in Instagram because I follow her on. But I met her in DC at a meetup, like at a TAPIF, future TAPIF or meetup thing. But she is like now getting her master's degree, but she still is really active and she shares a lot of information to help other teachers, which is really nice. So certainly see and look if you can use those resources. And by all means, search the Facebook groups, because you're just going to annoy people if you don't even try to find the answer for something on your own. On one of my videos, I did put some links in like the about section for some websites that a few teachers gave me to use. So hopefully, but yeah, don't be afraid to Google and stuff like that. If you're looking for lesson plan things, just Google. Keep on searching. It's at least gives you a starting point when you want to build or create something anew. Other Facebook groups, the conseiller, like we had a really great one. She was really nice in the beginning, was like semi-helpful, but at least it's somebody to talk to and use as a resource. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. And I would say my biggest recommendation here too, like TAPIF, getting by, being okay aside from your fellow assistants, is finding an ally, preferably like a French ally. Find some teacher in your school who can go to bat for you, who you like really get, you know, at least get one teacher who you feel like you can go to, you feel like will defend you. Because it didn't happen often, but I saw some stories last year where it was very strange and people would kind of just sound like they were very ostracized, I guess, by their schools, which was really sad and heartbreaking and sad to see too, because like I was having an amazing experience. And I am not a rose-colored glass person when it comes to stuff like this. I'm not like, this is how it is for everyone. Like, I know I was unique and there was still a lot of problems. Like, me and my friend complained about something happening at our schools all the time. But in the grand scheme of things, the experience was amazing. But I had a lot of great teachers in general. However, there was certainly a couple that I felt more comfortable with. So really try to like befriend, try to get to know. A great starting point would be bring some snacks into the salle de maîtresse. Like, that's just a wonderful way to kind of get in. Like, I think brown nosing works. So do something like that, the halo effect. You know, don't be afraid to kind of buy the sorority, treat it like a sorority. Don't be afraid to buy friendship a little bit. It really, you want an ally. You're in a foreign country, you don't always know what's happening. Maybe your French, like me, is not super great anymore. So you like want to have people there who you feel like you can go to for help or assistance. So don't be afraid to kind of suck up or use what you can to find people like that. And again, a cake or some cookies brought into the Selby Maîtresse I think would be a great way to do that. I hope this helps. I really did want to just talk about French resources and TAPIF resources. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but those were the things that I used and that really worked for me. The program, it's like mid-October right now, so everyone's officially into it, and I think fall breaks are probably coming up, so that's exciting. I've had 2 essays due so far, and we still have like 8 projects still to go, I think, this semester, unless I'm missing 1 or 2, but it's been something. Alrighty, I hope this helped, and I wish you all the best of luck. Bonne chance, bon courage. If you are there, bonne installation.